The atmosphere was electric as Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett walked onto the set of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The audience erupted in applause, sensing this wouldn't be a typical interview. Colbert, known for his witty humor and sharp political commentary, greeted her with a smile, but tension simmered beneath the surface. Crockett, a rising star in progressive politics, had recently made headlines for her fiery speeches in Congress. As she settled into her seat, the audience leaned in, anticipating sparks. Colbert opened with a light-hearted joke, but Crockett's response carried an edge, signaling this conversation wouldn't follow the usual script. Colbert's first question touched on recent political controversies, and Crockett didn't hold back. Her answers were direct, unapologetic, and laced with sharp critiques of the opposition. The audience alternated between cheers and stunned silence as she dismantled arguments with precision. Colbert, usually in control of the tempo, seemed momentarily thrown off. He tried to steer the conversation toward lighter topics, but Crockett remained steadfast, turning each question into a platform for her message. The energy in the room shifted, and Colbert's usual comedic ease began to falter under her unrelenting intensity. As the interview progressed, Colbert attempted a joke that landed poorly, drawing a pointed rebuttal from Crockett. Her response wasn't just a clapback, it was a full-throated challenge to the premise of his humor. The audience gasped, then erupted in applause. Colbert's face flashed with surprise, then frustration. He tried to recover with another quip, but Crockett shut it down, calling out the dismissive tone. The tension was palpable, and the live audience buzzed with nervous energy. Colbert, known for his quick wit, suddenly seemed at a loss for words, his usual confidence shaken. Sensing the interview slipping away, Colbert made a risky move. He interrupted Crockett mid-sentence to shift topics. The room fell silent as she stopped, fixed him with a steely gaze, and said, "I wasn't finished." The audience roared, and Colbert's smile tightened. He gestured for her to continue, but the damage was done. Crockett seized the moment, calling out the disrespect of cutting off a black woman speaking truth to power. The crowd's cheers grew louder, and Colbert's face reddened. It was clear he'd misjudged the moment, and his attempt to regain control only fueled Crockett's fire. The breaking point came when Colbert, visibly flustered, made a sarcastic remark about political correctness. Crockett didn't just respond. She stood up, mic in hand, and delivered a blistering monologue about accountability and privilege. The audience leapt to their feet, chanting her name. Colbert, realizing his mistake, tried to backtrack, but it was too late. Producers signaled frantically as the segment spiraled into uncharted territory. Crockett, refusing to be silenced, turned to the audience and said, "They're about to cut my mic, but y'all already heard the truth." The screen flickered, then went black. Social media exploded within seconds. Clips of the confrontation went viral, with hashtags like #CrockettShutsItDown and #ColbertRegretsIt trending. Viewers praised Crockett for her unflinching stance, while others debated whether Colbert had been unfairly targeted. Late-night TV rarely saw moments this raw and unfiltered, and the internet couldn't get enough. Colbert's team scrambled to contain the fallout, but the footage was everywhere. Memes, think pieces, and reaction videos flooded platforms, turning the interview into a cultural flashpoint. Behind the scenes, reports surfaced of a heated exchange between Colbert and producers after the segment. Sources claimed he was furious, not at Crockett, but at himself for losing control of the interview. Meanwhile, Crockett's team released a statement applauding her refusal to conform to respectability politics. The contrast in responses spoke volumes. Colbert's reputation as a master interviewer took a hit, while Crockett's profile soared. Political commentators noted how the moment encapsulated broader tensions in media and power dynamics. The next day, Colbert addressed the incident in his monologue, offering a half-hearted apology wrapped in jokes. The audience laughed, but the delivery lacked his usual charm. Critics called it damage control, while supporters argued he'd handled it gracefully. Crockett, meanwhile, appeared on another news program, doubling down on her message. She framed the clash as symbolic of systemic dismissiveness toward marginalized voices. The divide in reactions highlighted the polarized nature of modern discourse. One side saw heroism, the other saw hostility. Analysts dissected the interview frame by frame, noting body language cues and tonal shifts. Colbert's initial confidence had given way to visible discomfort, while Crockett's poise under pressure became a case study in effective communication. Media trainers cited it as a lesson in preparedness, while comedians debated whether Colbert's approach had been tone-deaf. The incident became more than a viral moment. It was a referendum on who gets to speak, who gets interrupted, and who holds the power in high-stakes conversations. In the weeks that followed, Crockett's fundraising numbers spiked, and her social media following tripled. The interview had amplified her voice far beyond political circles, solidifying her as a force to reckon with. Colbert's ratings, meanwhile, saw a slight dip, with some viewers accusing him of bias. The show's writers reportedly reworked segments to avoid similar confrontations, but the shadow of the moment lingered. Late-night TV, once a space for safe, scripted banter, had revealed its potential for real, unvarnished conflict, and audiences were riveted. The clash also reignited debates about representation in media. Crockett's refusal to be sidelined resonated with viewers who'd felt ignored by mainstream platforms. Scholars compared the moment to historic TV confrontations, where marginalized voices broke through the noise. Colbert, a self-proclaimed progressive, faced scrutiny over whether his show truly embodied inclusivity or merely performed it. The conversation expanded beyond politics into entertainment, asking who gets to set the terms of debate, and who gets to disrupt them. Crockett's team leveraged the momentum, booking her on more shows and amplifying her policy work. Each appearance drew comparisons to the Colbert interview, with hosts either treading carefully or deliberately provoking her. Meanwhile, Colbert's writers incorporated more pre-interview vetting, avoiding guests likely to challenge the host's control. The incident had changed both parties. Crockett embraced her reputation as a fearless truth-teller, while Colbert's show became more cautious, some argued, less authentic. The interview's fallout even reached Capitol Hill, where colleagues praised Crockett's poise. Opponents, however, used it to paint her as combative and uncooperative. The duality of the reactions underscored how black women in politics are often penalized for the same assertiveness celebrated in others. Crockett dismissed the criticism, tweeting, "If speaking truth to power is combative, then I'll wear that label proudly." The tweet went viral, further cementing her stance in the public eye. Late-night TV as a whole felt the ripple effects. Other hosts, wary of similar confrontations, adjusted their interviewing styles. Some leaned into harder-hitting questions, while others avoided political guests altogether. The genre, once a refuge for lighthearted escapism, now grappled with its role in a polarized era. Crockett's appearance had exposed the limits of controlled, sanitized discourse, and audiences craved more unfiltered moments. Months later, the interview was still being analyzed in media studies courses. Professors highlighted it as a turning point in public accountability, where a guest held the host to task in real time. Colbert, in subsequent interviews, admitted the moment had humbled him. Crockett, when asked about it, simply smiled and said, "Sometimes the mic catches what the system tries to suppress." The quote became a rallying cry, printed on T-shirts and protest signs. The incident also sparked internal changes at The Late Show. Staffers reported more diverse voices in writers' rooms and guest bookings, though critics argued it was overdue. Colbert's interviews with progressive figures took on a new tone, less condescending, more collaborative. Whether these shifts were genuine or performative remained debated, but the impact was undeniable. Crockett's refusal to play by the old rules had forced a reckoning. On the political front, Crockett's influence grew. She became a sought-after surrogate for progressive causes, her name floated for higher office. The interview had showcased her ability to command attention and articulate bold visions, a rarity in scripted political theater. Colbert, meanwhile, faced lingering questions about whether he'd underestimated her or misjudged the audience's appetite for raw dialogue. The moment also highlighted the power of live TV in an age of edited, polished content. Unlike pre-taped segments, this confrontation couldn't be undone or softened. Its authenticity was what made it resonate, a reminder that unscripted humanity still breaks through the noise. Both Crockett and Colbert became case studies in how public figures navigate unpredictability, for better or worse. As the anniversary of the interview approached, think pieces revisited its cultural significance. Some framed it as a victory for marginalized voices, others, as a cautionary tale about media hubris. Crockett, now a household name, laughed off the obsession, saying, "I just said what needed saying." Colbert, in a rare reflective moment, admitted, "She taught me something that night." The interview's legacy endured in unexpected ways. SNL parodied it, with cast members exaggerating the tension for laughs. Documentaries about media power dynamics included clips as pivotal examples. Even advertisers referenced it, with one brand slogan quipping, "Don't get Crockett blocked, speak your truth." The moment had transcended politics, becoming shorthand for unapologetic authenticity. Behind the glamour, though, both figures carried lessons from that night. Crockett learned the weight of her platform, how a single moment could amplify her message globally. Colbert learned the cost of complacency, that even allies must constantly check their blind spots. Their clash, though contentious, became a catalyst for growth on both sides. Years later, the interview was enshrined in pop culture history. Lists of TV's most jaw-dropping moments consistently ranked it in the top 10. College debates analyzed its rhetorical strategies, while activists cited it as a blueprint for challenging power. What began as a tense exchange had become a masterclass in media, power, and resistance. Crockett, reflecting in her memoir, wrote, "That night wasn't about me versus Stephen, it was about who gets to control the narrative." Colbert, in his own retrospective, conceded, "She was right. I wasn't listening like I should have been." The mutual respect arrived after public friction, added a poignant coda to the saga. Today, the interview stands as a landmark, a reminder that live TV can still surprise, provoke, and inspire. In an era of curated personas, Crockett's refusal to perform and Colbert's stumble humanized them both. The moment's rawness is why it endures, a testament to the power of unfiltered truth in a mediated world. Ultimately, the clash wasn't just about politics or entertainment, it was about who holds the mic, literally and figuratively. Crockett's defiance and Colbert's regret became a mirror for society's broader struggles over voice and power. And in that tension, viewers saw something rare, unvarnished reality, breaking through the noise.